I'm joined now on Skype by Kamran Bokhari. He is a senior fellow with the Center for Global Policy and a fellow with the program on extremism at George Washington University. Kamran, the UN Secretary General saying this is a human tragedy that is unfolding in front of our eyes, and I don't think we can let things go on happening in this horrendous way. I think just about everyone would agree with that, but from your vantage point, it's getting even more complicated because there are more actors involved, right?
Absolutely, Mike. I mean, we're looking at multiple actors, state actors. We've been talking for years about the growing number of militias, both on the anti-regime side and the pro-regime side. Now we have regional powers and international actors. The United States is there trying to help the Kurds fight ISIS. Russia is backing this Assad regime. Iran has its forces and has mobilized militias as well. There's Hezbollah in there. Israel got involved a few days ago, which saw the incident of the shooting down of the Israeli F-16. We now have a potential clash between Turkish military forces and Syrian military forces because of the flashpoint in Afrin in the north. This is getting way messier than before.
And a doctor in the area says it's catastrophic. He says the international community has abandoned the people living there. How do you get any traction at the UN when you have so many actors involved actively as we see right now?
So, I mean, in the end, the UN is basically, it's the Security Council, and the Security Council has 5 major powers, each with the ability to veto anything. And so Russia's there, China, the United States, and then its European allies, the Brits and the French. So I don't think that it's going to be an easy solution for the United Nations. I mean, there's a long-standing argument that people have made that the United Nations does great work when it comes to humanitarian relief and development work, but when it comes to security issues, the United Nations is not very effective.
Catastrophic at this stage, but you see it as potentially even getting worse.
Yes, I mean, the Turks currently are looking at neutralizing what they call the Kurdish threat. But let's assume that at some point they do achieve that goal, which will take a long time, but let's assume that. Do we think that Russians and the Iranians and their allies in the Syrian government are just going to allow Turkey to step in and have a sphere of influence, an area of operation in northern Syria? They know that if Turkish troops are consolidating their position and supporting anti-regime rebels, then the regime's position is threatened. So there's no way that they can back off. There is no way that the Turks can back off. Same thing on the southern front between Iran and Israel. Iran sees this as an opportunity to expand. It's doing that. From Israel's point of view, this is bad news, and it cannot allow the Iranians to have a foothold in Syria. So I don't see this winding down. I see this exponentially increasing in terms of a conflict.
What about just getting humanitarian aid to these people who are suffering?
I think that the powers that have a stake in the country may be able to allow that. But we've seen this happen before in Aleppo, in other places. But these are momentary actions. They're fleeting moments. There's a little bit of humanitarian relief, and some people are allowed to leave the war-torn cities and towns. But then we go back to the shooting.
Kamran Bokhari joining us from Baltimore. Thanks so much for your assessment.